I can't believe Thanksgiving's tomorrow.
All right, let's take an example from that 70s show, the season 7, episode 9. You can't always get what you want. This is the Eric trying to get to the concert episode. Now, by this time, you've got a very big cast to track. Everybody's fans of all of these different characters, Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, all of these people that came out of that show. You try to get everybody in, and you try to keep everybody active. But we're going to have, in this case, a big A and a big B story. I'm going to call the ensemble story the A story because the writers have dedicated about 14 minutes to it. It involves 80% of the cast, and I think it could be not so much that it's the most important thing that's happening in the episode, and therefore the A story, but that there's so many characters, and in order to give them each their proper due, which for somebody like a lower character like Fez might be 5 lines that he swoops in and says at just the right moment, so as to keep that character alive and satisfy those people for whom he's their favorite character. But also that it's such a big group to manage that if we're going to do that for 5-6 characters, that's just going to mean more screen time. I believe that according to the premise of the show and according to who I think the lead character is, Eric, that what we're really calling our B story here is, for me, the more important one, which is Eric's story. And it's only got about 9 minutes dedicated to it. If we were to view this as a timeline in a non-linear editor with our B story and A story spread out onto different tracks, we would see something like this. We've got an introduction. The first scene is, in fact, Eric's story. Then we go to a really, really long A story scene. It's like 4 minutes and 20 seconds. So these range from a 35-second scene, which we have in the middle of Eric's thing here, all the way up to that massive 4. There's, as you see, it's not really a definitive rhythm, but it's back and forth. We go A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, all the way until the end, and where we wrap things up, everybody comes back together. A lot of these you'll see everybody's together at the beginning and together at the end. Remember, our premise here is that Eric wants to get Styx tickets, but it's Thanksgiving. I like this one because it's perfect in that it's the kind of episode thread that's both highly on premise. This is an extremely 1970s problem. He's got to physically go to stand in line to get tickets for a known 1970s, late 70s band that the cool kids in the group think is a stupid band because it's popular and maybe cheesy. And then it's also extremely on theme because it's going to put him at odds with his family, and really between the friends and family relationship aspects of the show, you've really got all of your theme type material covered. So we start with this 2-minute opening scene, which tells us when it is, reminds us where we are in terms of the show and the season. At this point, Eric has made a wedding offer to Donna. They got set up to have the wedding, and she called it off. He's also lost a job that he had and has become rather shiftless. He is not going to college that we know of. So it's this kind of crossroads in his life where he's got to grow up. Up until this point, he's kind of lived his teenager life, and he's kind of dodging responsibility. So it has, stakes. It has real life kinds of things that we can relate to. It's more than just a joke. So I kind of like it from that standpoint. It's coming of age stuff. In fact, that's probably the premise of it. Like all of these shows, within the first second or two, if you've never seen one of them, you're going to understand the relationship of the characters. So it's important in a sitcom, especially kind of a broadcast sitcom like this, where people might stumble upon it accidentally as they were flipping channels, if you can remember what flipping channels is like. Oh, let's see what this is about. Drop in and be able to sense what's going on pretty quick, because the character types are well-defined, broad enough to pick up on within a sentence or two. There's nothing wrong with that. To some extent, serial things, TV things, should really be that kind of thing. It's great to have drama that builds over the course of a season, and that if you can't drop in on episode 5 having not seen 1, 2, 3, and 4, like a lot of these serial Netflix and Disney shows, and that's it's a different kind of medium. We're looking here at a sitcom where you could watch these out of order technically, and the thrust of the episode is still going to be clear.
Hey guys, I got something really different planned for Thanksgiving, but instead of telling you about it, I'm gonna let it wash over you.
But Eric, maybe you can let some soap and water wash over you? Because since you've been out of work, you're a little bummy.
Welcome to the grand illusion. Come on in and see what's happening. Pay the price, get your tickets for the show.
Is that Styx?
And they just announced a concert Thanksgiving night. Now, if we camp out for tickets, by tomorrow we could be watching 5 guys in spandex suits shaking their hair sweat on teenage girls.
Well, even if I liked Styx, which would mean I was born without ears, I still can't go. My dad wants me and Angie to open the record store by midnight tomorrow.
All right, so we've got a setup. I can't believe Thanksgiving's tomorrow. In the first sentence, we know exactly where we are and what's going down. Okay, we know what Eric wants within seconds of starting this scene. We know where we are in terms of, the season arc. Eric wants to get to this Styx concert. His constant lower, bubbling up under the surface need constantly is the social acceptance of his peers. And the comedy comes out of here that the Styx is a bad band. It's bad because the cool kids growing up with their Zeppelin and Black Sabbath, this would be considered, nearly disco in quality. Fuck, stop doing that. And we do that in no less than 1 minute and 55 seconds.
First one here.
In the next scene, he's going to try to get his tickets. The character want is still our main one. He's trying to get Styx concerts. But the conflict is going to change. If I've only got a minute, am I going to be able to get tickets? Is it going to be sold out? Comedy comes out of the fact that no one else is in line, once again underlining the general attitude of characters besides Eric, and that is that Styx is not a good band.
Guess who got a ticket to see Styx in concert tonight?
Tonight, honey, it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Mom, this ticket was really hard to get.
Was it harder to get than the holiday traditions this family has built through decades of love and sacrifice?
Much harder. Thanks for understanding.
He's got the tickets now, and that takes us into Act 2. He's successfully set out, but it's created this new conflict, which is that it's Thanksgiving. Eric still wants to go to that concert, but needs the social acceptance of his family. The mom calls him out on it, says, you've got to stay because no one else is coming to Thanksgiving. It's a requirement. That's our second conflict. We have a conflict from Act 1, and we have a new conflict in Act 2. That is the result of the actions taken in the first act. That's important. The comedy here is the usual one for the Kitty and Red characters, and that is that the mom works really hard and is underappreciated, and the dad is sort of a typical dad who doesn't do very much.
You're not going to the concert.
What? Why not?
Look, every family has its holiday traditions. Some sing, others play charades. In our family, someone always cries.
Still in Act 2. We're still on the same problem. You're not going to the concert is Red's line that tells us the setup for this scene. Again, Eric wants to go to the concert. Eric needs the social acceptance of the family. Conflict remains the same. This is a 30-second scene. Dad, we just need the dad character to lay down the law and say, this is how it's going to be. The comedy comes out of the fact that that's usually the way it is, but that he has no real power in that it comes down to the fact that it's all for the mom.
Thank you for opening up your home to me on this special day.
This family is all about love.
Yep. Spirit-crushing, tyrannical love.
Drop that tone of voice, you'll be wearing that turkey like a football helmet.
We're going to get a 3-scene Act 2. This is still on that same wants and needs. And this is longer because they've got some jokes to use, and it's the conflict here is that Thanksgiving with the family can be painful.
How could you think it would be okay to miss Thanksgiving? You might as well just rip my heart out and drown it in my delicious giblet gravy.
It's not just Thanksgiving. You used to have goals and ambition. But now, one week you're chasing butterflies. The next week you're skating around the neighborhood dressed like Liberace.
Did it ever occur to you guys that I don't know what I'm doing? Okay, I'm scared.
Of what, honey? We got rid of the spooky lamp in your room.
Look, my whole life, I've been trying to please other people. So I feel like I don't know who I am or know what I want to do with my life.
You need a government job like a mailman. Something simple and repetitive.
No. You know he doesn't do well in snow. What about this? Margie's son is a chiropractor, and she seems very happy.
I don't want to wake up in 5 years and hate my life.
That's unavoidable.
Okay, I just need more time to think.
You know what I got for my 18th birthday? A draft notice and a malaria vaccine. I never had time to think.
Yeah, but Dad, don't you think it would have been helpful if you did?
All right, I'll tell you what. I'll give you 6 months. But if you haven't picked something by then, you'll do that chiropractic thing that your mother suggested.
Boom, we're into Act 3. Act 2 turns out to not work out for Eric. He fails to get what he wants. Will he get what he needs? That's what Act 3 is going to be about. We end up in our usual place for a lot of these episodes, which is the immediate family is having a heart-to-heart on the living room couch. I believe that this is part of the fabric of this show. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in nearly every episode. Eric wants to be understood. We're going to change our want. He did not get what he wanted out of Act 1 and Act 2, but now he can maybe get what he wants in Act 3. That's actually pretty useful. That's a pretty useful formula. Can he get what he needs instead of what he wants? Interestingly, it occurs to me, every episode title in episode 7 is the name of a Rolling Stones song. This one is You Can't Always Get What You Want, and in fact, funny thing is that, but you can get what you need is how the lyric goes. So maybe that's what the whole point of this episode is. Clever. Now this suddenly takes a pretty interesting turn. It's been just funny up to this point, but now it's here's 2 minutes of some pretty serious drama. There are jokes in there to lighten the load, and the fact that it is a sitcom first, and if it has some weight, that's always a second fiddle to the funny stuff. But this is tied to really everything that's been going on up to this point in the show and the sort of season arc, which is that Eric admits he doesn't know what to do with his life. His parents, of course, ever helpful, have some suggestions.
Check it out, Jackie's rocking out the sticks.
So, Baz was mouthing the words.
I thought it was okay now because Hyde was tapping his foot.
Whoa, I was just squashing a bug.
Act 3 has a tag. It could almost be a fourth act because we've really resolved some things there. But this is only 30 seconds, and it's a callback to our original scene. So we'll call it a tag, not an act unto itself. And that they're going to just listen to Styx on record. And Eric still trying to get that social acceptance, one of his needs. He's kind of come to terms, obviously, with his wants on this one and is settling for something. And the comedy comes, obviously, from our callback to that first scene, but also the jokes are just emerging naturally from those established character types. And that's really the collateral of most of these kinds of sitcoms. If we look at something like the act breaks here, we've got Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. only a couple of scenes on Act 1 and only a couple of scenes on Act 3. The majority of the lifting is done in Act 2. And really the scenes that are described in the synopsis or log line of that episode are the ones that play out here in Act 2. Premise is set up in that first act. The activity, the action. Act 3, the characters are dealing entirely with the fallout of the decisions and actions taken in Act 2, whether they were failures or successes. And there you have a good basic 3-act, in this case sitcom, structure that shows you how you can divide up those conflicts, make them work off the characters' wants and needs, and give you that mileage that you need to fill these pages with conflict and exciting things.